stepdad tried to initiate an inappropriate relationship with me when I was around 15. I turned him down and told my mom. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Gray in Between. I'm your host Lola, and together we'll dive into the captivating tales from Reddit and beyond, where life's most complicated moments take center stage. Alright you guys, let's get into today's first story. Am I the asshole for demanding that my niece or her parents pay me back for the hundreds of dollars of perfume she stole from me? Note that I'm not involving the police, suing anyone. Please don't try to argue with me about this or convince me why I should. I have a perfume collection that I started when I was a teenager, slinging burritos as my first job. I have over 400 bottles at this point. I take great pride in my collection and I use it. I'm also happy to give people samples of most of my bottles. Let them sample a spray or two or give some bottles as gifts. What I have a huge issue with is my 17-year-old niece coming into my home under the guise of walking my dog, decanting bottles on her own and selling the samples to her little friends. She thinks that because I have so many bottles, I wouldn't notice some missing or getting massive dents in them. Well, little Miss Entrepreneur failed to realize that her private Instagram wasn't friends only or whatever, and I saw each and every freaking story with each price and sample she had. I tallied that shit up and got a pretty good estimate based on cost per ounce. Thankfully, she mostly packed the TikTok famous perfumes like Bianco Latte or Escapade Gourmand and didn't go for the most rare niche perfumes. Though she did snatch an entire 2.5 ounce bottle of Baccarat Rouge, which runs 300 plus at most retailers, as well as a bottle of perfumes you can buy at Sephora like Marc Jacobs, Daisy, Burberry Her Elixir, Flower Bomb, etc. Petty or not, I printed out the entire list of what she'd taken, price estimate, and handed it off to my sister, her mom. I said that I expect to be paid back in full. And of course, her freaking sneaky little ass is never allowed in my home again. My sister got super pissy with me going on about how my niece is just a kid, kids make mistakes, etc. I said yes, kids make mistakes, and this is a great way for my niece to learn from hers. The argument is that now the money she was going to use for a car has to go towards paying me back. I don't care. She is lucky that I have no interest in involving the police, small claims, or any of that. But am I the asshole because she is a teenager? Okay, so before I give my 2 cents, someone asked, did your niece steal entire bottles or did she take some perfume out of the bottles while leaving some behind? And she responds, she did both. She walked off with a few full sizes and filled decants as well. Okay, so I think it really depends. Okay, she's not just a kid. She's 17. She's still relatively young. I get that. She is younger, but I do think she should be reprimanded for her actions. I don't think I would never go to my sister for it. I'd go to my niece and be like, hey, go get a job. You owe me all this shit. And if that was my sister who came to me and my daughter did that, I would do the same thing. I was like, you need to get a job. You need to pay your aunt back. Why would you do that? I don't think she let it go because she's a kid and then you're going to buy her a car. She don't deserve the car right now. Look what she did. I think you should have some leeway with family if you are close to them. I have nieces and nephews. I have siblings I'm close to. They've done a lot of shit to mess up my stuff, but they are children, not teenagers, almost 18, almost adults. I do think she should pay you back, but I don't think it's on her. You should blame your sister for it, but I don't think her sister should get defensive either. I'd be like, oh, your aunt's gonna beat your ass. What did you do to her? Why would you do that? Like, I would not pick my daughter's side for that either. So I do think you're entitled to get recompensated from it, but I do think that it should come from your niece. She's old enough to understand her actions have consequences and she needs to get a job. Am I the asshole for telling my sister she deserved to lose her job after sabotaging mine? Okay, this is going to be long and I know emotions are high, but I'm at a loss here and could really use an outside perspective. I have an older sister, Rachel. Growing up, we were pretty close, and even though we had our fair share of sibling fights, I always admired her. Rachel is the golden child in our family, super smart, talented, always receives the center of attention. I was always the quieter, more reserved one. Fast forward to adulthood. Rachel got into a prestigious college and went into finance, making good money early on. Meanwhile, I struggled for a bit, bouncing from job to job, never quite sure what I wanted to do. Eventually, I found my passion in graphic design, went back to school, and worked hard to land a great position at a marketing firm last year. For once, I felt like I was on equal footing with my sister, and I was really proud of myself. My parents were too, though they were still obviously more focused on Rachel and her success. Here's where things took a turn. About 6 months ago, Rachel lost her job due to company downsizing. It was tough on her, and I tried to be there as much as possible. But during that time, she became bitter and resentful, constantly making passive-aggressive comments about how easy my job must be compared to hers and how graphic design wasn't real work. It hurt, but I bit my tongue because I knew she was going through a rough patch. I think I would have bit my tongue too. No, I wouldn't. I lied. Then, 3 months ago, a major project came up at my job. It was a huge deal, and if I nailed it, it would mean a big promotion. I was under a lot of pressure, and while I was working late one night, Rachel called and asked to hang out. I explained how stressed I was, but she brushed it off, saying she could help me blow off steam and that I was making too big of a deal of the project. Again, I bit my tongue. I didn't want to cause a fight, but I could feel myself starting to resent her attitude. The next day, I come home from a long day at work and my laptop is gone. I freaked out because all of the files for my project were on it. Yeah, I know I should have backed them up elsewhere, but I was overwhelmed. I called Rachel and she admitted that she had borrowed it to teach me a lesson about not prioritizing family over work. She said she'd return it in a few hours, but by then it was too late. I missed an important deadline and the whole project got scrapped. I was devastated. Who does she think she is to teach you a lesson to touch your personal stuff as a grown adult? Oh my goodness, this girl is stuck in her ways. That is horrible behavior. Like, as petty as me and my siblings are, we would never, like, there's certain things that if you want to live your life that way, good for you. Who am I to teach you a lesson to go and touch your stuff? You don't want to spend time with me? You don't want to spend time with me. Why am I forcing it? I confronted her and she was unapologetic, saying I was letting work take over my life and that I needed to chill. I lost my temper and told her she was selfish and that she didn't understand what it was like to fight for every opportunity like I had. In the end, I didn't get the promotion and my boss even questioned my reliability. I was heartbroken and felt like I had to start over from square one. Fast forward to last week, Rachel was still unemployed and struggling to find something in her field. We were at a family dinner when my parents started asking Rachel about her job search. She was venting about how unfair the job market is and how nobody would hire her. I don't know what came over me, but I snapped and I said, maybe you deserve to be unemployed after sabotaging my career. The whole table went silent. Rachel started crying. My parents freaked out at me for kicking her while she's down, and I stormed out. Since then, I've been getting constant texts from my parents saying I should apologize, but I can't bring myself to do it. I feel like she never faced any consequences for what she did to me, and for once, I just wanted her to feel the weight of her actions. But now I'm wondering if I went too far. She's still my sister and she's clearly struggling, but I can't get over how she ruined my career moment and didn't even feel bad about it. So, am I the asshole about what I said? Should I have kept my mouth shut even though she hurt me so deeply? Or was I justified in finally standing up for myself after years of feeling overshadowed? Honestly, no, absolutely not. This is ridiculous. I don't know why people enable that kind of behavior. As an adult, that is extremely unacceptable for you to, as sibling, you're not, as adults, you guys shouldn't be competing with each other. You guys are all in different directions in life. You guys are all going towards your own path. We're not intertwining. We're all parallel, but going to the same direction, right? I'm not going to feel bad for me succeeding in my life. I can feel bad for you for being in a rough patch, but I'm not going to let that overshadow. I'm like, yeah, my work is going great. I love my job. I can't wait to nail this promotion. I think she did it on purpose. I'm just blown away that she had the balls to go to your place, take your laptop to teach you a lesson. That would have been enough for me to never want to talk to you again. No sister would ever do that. Like, God forbid, if I was in that kind of situation, my sister was jobless or vice versa, I was jobless and whatever, I would do everything in my power to uplift that person and no, I hope work's going well, things like that. Like, there shouldn't be any type of ill will in that. This is just really fortunate that your sister, I think she's so used to being the cream of the crop, the top of the top in the family, and you're doing so well for yourself, bit her in the ass. You can't, I don't want people to use the excuse, oh, well, kicking her while you're down. You're an adult. Learn to control your feelings. People go through shit all the time. People have it worse than you. People have it better than you. Does not mean people should be walking on eggshells to make sure you feel okay. This is a really bad time for jobs. We know. I'm not going to hide that I have a good job and I'm happy. I hope that you get a good job one day and you're happy. But I'm not going to let that, oh, well, she's looking for a job and she's jobless, I'm not going to talk about my career. No. That's not how life works. I manipulated my ex-best friend so my husband and I could be together. Years later, she wants to tell him, how do I go about this? I always say, you cannot start a relationship off on a lie because it will come bite you in the butt. The truth will always prevail. People think they're good for a few years. No, 10, 15, it'll always come back. You can't do it. My 33 female, husband 34 male have been together for almost 10 years, married for almost 8, and we have 4 kids. Prior to being with me, he was with my best friend. My best friend and I met on a night out 11 years ago. I've always been a very shy and introverted girl, but I was attracted to him, but I had no idea what to do about it. And my best friend and him would end up sleeping together that night and become a couple soon after that. In my heart, I knew I would be a much better girlfriend to him. She always complained about him being busy when he was balancing working a 40-hour job, doing a graduate degree, and being with her at the same time rather than being a supportive and caring girlfriend. I wanted to be loved and treated the way he treated my best friend, and my crush on him grew and grew until I couldn't even stand the sight of them together. I made a plan to set up a situation where my best friend cheated, which led to them breaking up and the end of our relationship. Wait, what? Oh my God! No, you're a bad friend. You're a bad human being. Mm-mm-mm. Karma's gonna get you, girl. I made a plan to set up a situation where my best friend cheated, which led to them breaking up and the end of our friendship when she blamed me for the end of their relationship. I became a regular at his favorite cafe, hoping to see him. And after we bumped into each other a few times and he initiated some conversations with me, we got coffee together, went on some walks, an amusement park date, and more until he asked me to be his girlfriend. And I've been by his side ever since. Rather than being an obstacle in his way like my ex-BFF, oh my God, look how she's talking about her. Rather than being an obstacle in his life like my ex-best friend, I have given every ounce of my being to being the most loving and supportive partner to him, and he has been the best husband and treated me with so much love, and he absolutely adores me. We have grown into a beautiful family with 4 kids, and I couldn't be happier and more fulfilled with the life we have. I know I will probably be called manipulated for this, but I'm not. I did one manipulative thing to end up with this and build a life with the man I fell in love with. She's like, you're manipulative. I'm just laughing. I really am laughing at you because it's so funny how delusional you're being. You're trying to justify your horrible actions as a person. Not going to work. Sorry. It's simply the cause of using the wrong method to get the right answer. No, babe. That only works in math, sometimes by accident. It's not a real thing. Until a few days ago, I hadn't heard from my ex-best friend in a long time. She sent me a message saying that I ruined her life and that she still hates me for taking her man away from her and that she has waited a long time to get her payback and she was going to tell my husband everything soon. My husband has her blocked on everything, so she would somehow have to tell him in person. I don't want my husband to know. I know it was morally wrong, but if I hadn't done it, we would have never been together like this. Also, it was her decision to cheat. I didn't force her to do that. It was her choice. If she didn't want to truly love and appreciate him, someone else would, and it just so happened that it was me. Oh my God, I don't. No. Despite this, I'm afraid of the possibility that my husband would see me differently if he knew the truth. Because, it's like what? Manipulative and like toxic? The things that you say you're not? Our anniversary and his birthday are also both coming up, and I'm afraid she's somehow going to ruin our 10th anniversary of being together or crash the surprise birthday party I'm throwing for my husband. How do I go about this? Small edit. A lot of comments asking how I manipulated her into cheating. I knew one of her ex-friends with benefits had a thing for her, and I dragged her to a party where I knew the ex would be, and I lied to him that she still had a thing for him. He talked to her a bit, and she was very receptive and eventually slept with him that night. Before they slept together, she asked me not to tell my husband, and I agreed just so she would go through with it, and I told my husband the next day, which is how he found out. There was some amount of alcohol involved, but she admitted that she wasn't drunk and it was consensual. Holy what? I honestly don't know how you can say you're not a manipulative person when that's clearly what you are. This was a very uncomfortable read, not because that you made your friend cheat, but because you're really sleazy in your defamation to get a guy that you think your friend was so undeserving of. Oh my goodness. That just like, why have enemies when you have friends like this? I cannot imagine being with a girl who I was like so close with, someone I would consider a friend, right? If I don't throw that title out loosely. So if you're my friend and you had this ill intent or whatever towards like, oh my God, I hope karma gets you. I hope your husband finds out. You don't deserve to be happy. I'm being very rough around the edges, but that's okay because you did wrong and you do not do that to people. Realistically, I don't think your husband's going to give a shit because you're 10 years in, you have 4 kids. I don't think he's going to say much about it. He's like, oh my God, you loved me that much. You should have just told me. But I'm just judging you a lot. You knew better. And watch, I don't know. Tell your husband everything. I don't even want to give you advice. No, not doing it. I made a joke with my husband and it's costing me my marriage with the man I truly love. I need help fixing it. Oh, okay, guys. I'm trying to think. Was it a funny joke or was it insensitive and over the line and the husband is justified his reaction? Or is he being a little sensitive? I don't know. But for her to come all the way over here and send a story in, I think she might have said something that crossed the line. Because I always want to look at it if the roles were reversed and he said that to her, how would she feel? My husband and I have been married for 4 years now. I truly do love him with everything I have. I can't see a life without him. I took some stupid advice from some of my girlfriends regarding a joke that they have done with their husbands or boyfriend. The joke is basically telling your partner you want to break up or that you want a divorce. This is stupid already. Oh my God, I'm on the husband's side. I never wanted to do it and thought it was cruel to do, especially to do to someone you love, but I was convinced after being pestered about it, as I was the only one that hadn't done it yet out of the 5 of us. They further convinced me about it when they told me the reactions their partners had afterwards. Okay, listen, I get peer pressure, whatever. You can't preface this by saying, I think it was really bad. I don't like doing that. And I don't think it's a good idea, but I still did it because I was peer pressured. My friends are not going to peer pressure me about anything about my relationship with my man. You can do whatever you want, what works for your relationship. If I know my person's going to react a certain way, I'm not going to do it, regardless of what you think. Come on, take some accountability here. Stupidly, I did it last week, and my husband's reaction wasn't what I thought it would be. I honestly thought that he would try and talk to me or beg me to make suggestions like my friend's partner have done, but he didn't. We had dinner and was watching a movie when I told him I'm not happy anymore and I think we should get a divorce. We had dinner and was watching a movie when I told him I'm not happy anymore and I think we should get a divorce. He looked at me for a couple of seconds and I swear it looked like something broke in his eyes. He got up, walked into our bedroom, and within 10 minutes came out with a bag and walked out of the house without saying a word to me. See, you waited 10 minutes? The moment I saw the heartbreak in his, I'm like, I'm just kidding. You see the heartbreak, it's like, oh, jokes. Would never joke about that. I hate throwing around the D word like that in marriage. I think it's very bad. I tried to stop him, especially after seeing him with his bag packed, and told him it was just a joke and I didn't mean it, but he basically just brushed me off and walked out. I've tried to get a hold of him, messages, calls, emails, video chats, but he isn't answering me at all. I talked to his friends, but none of them want to tell me where he is, when, and if they answer me. I went to his work, but they refused me entry into the building. I tried his parents, but they don't want to get involved, as well as his siblings. The only messages I got back from his sister was telling me, joke or not, I f***ed up. I've sent so many messages about it being a joke and even sent screenshots of my conversations with my girlfriends about the joke as proof that it was a joke and that I'm not backtracking all of a sudden. My friends didn't have any real advice and told me to just give him time and that he'll get over it. Everything came down on me yesterday when I was served with actual divorce papers. It felt like someone slapped me in the face and hit me and continued to hit me. I was and still am in so much pain. I frantically tried to get a hold of him, but all I got back was that he has nothing to say and I should talk to his lawyer. How can I get the man I love back? I don't want to lose him. I made a stupid joke, I know that, and now it's breaking my world apart. We have no issues that I know of. We were laughing the whole time throughout the day, had fun and everything. No fight or distance recently between us. Nothing like that at all. Everything was basically perfect. Your friends are really bad friends too. I'm sorry. I don't ever think that's something you should ever joke about. Like, I just can't imagine, like, if I'm having a great day, I come home, he comes home from work, we're on the couch chilling, having dinner, and he just says, hey, I want to get divorced. I'm not happy. I don't like those things. Like, there's some things, like, no matter joke or not, like, you can't take that back. And like, you didn't even put enough effort into think, like, how would he feel, right? If someone said that to you, like, you think it's funny that you want to break up. Like, I don't do the joke in it. Do I think his reaction is a little over the top? He's hurt. I do think you should guys, like, I do think it's a little excessive. A conversation after the fact would have been like, hey, like, don't ever throw that word around with me or else next time I'm going to mean it. Am I wrong for refusing to pay my mother-in-law just to babysit our toddler while we go away on a 5-day vacation? What do you mean just to babysit? Do you know how hard it is to babysit someone? Okay, let me preface this real quick myself. Okay, I would never charge my siblings, but if I wanted to, they would pay it because watching a kid is not easy. I'm also young. My parents are older. Grandparents are older. It's a lot harder on them. They've done their job. They've raised their kids. One night, okay, 5 days is crazy. When you decide to have kids, it is 1000% your responsibility. No one else has to deal with your shit. No one else has to deal with that child. That's on you. If you want to go on a vacation with your husband, find the correct accommodations for your child, money or not. You cannot be offended when people want that kind of, want compensation for watching your child. Either don't go on vacation, don't have kids, or take your child with you. Don't feel entitled to people's time to watch your child. Absolutely not. My wife, 39 female, is turning 40 in 10 days. To celebrate, we are taking a 5-day vacation, just the two of us. It's the first time that she and I, 39 male, have been away like this as a couple since the birth of our son almost 4 years ago. We planned this trip months ago, and my wife asked her mom if she would be willing to come to our house and watch our son while we are away. Mother-in-law agreed. My mother-in-law is in her early 60s but doesn't have a real job. She will do cleaning for her brother who owns a bunch of rental properties and he pays her in cash. So it's not like she has a schedule she has to clear to stay with our son for a few days. I'm sorry, cleaning rental properties is a very physically taxing job. That is a very much real job. What the heck? Ew, I don't like how you're I'm not gonna like this story. Sorry, biased already. I don't like the way you're talking about her. I don't like the way you're talking about her job and clearing your schedule for my get out of here. Last weekend, my wife called mother-in-law to talk to her about our trip and to ask if there's anything mother-in-law will need or want us to stock in the house as far as food or necessities. During the conversation, mother-in-law said that she will need $100 per day from us. This is the first time she ever brought up wanting to get paid to watch our son. My wife was caught off guard and just kind of agreed to it. But when she got off the phone and told me about it, I got upset. I told her that mother-in-law is taking advantage of our situation because she thinks we have no other options. I told her that is BS that she sprung this upon us so close to our trip, and I don't think we should pay her anything. I said that I would call my parents to see if they can watch our son instead. My wife told me that mother-in-law wouldn't ask that sort of thing unless she needs the money and that adding $500 to our vacation trip isn't that much of a big deal. I told her it's not about the money to me. It's about mother-in-law being sneaky and manipulative. Oh God, don't like you. I called my mom and asked her if they would be able to watch our son instead, and she jumped at the idea. Both my parents are recently retired, so they have plenty of free time and would love an extended grandson visit. I didn't explain the reason for the change. I just told them that things didn't work out with mother-in-law. I told my wife that my parents can watch our son instead and that she should call her mom and tell her that we no longer need her to babysit. She said that she didn't want to do that because her mom was really looking forward to seeing our son. It has been over 6 months. I told her if she was looking forward to it that much, she wouldn't be trying to swindle us out of $500. I told her if she didn't want to make the call, I would gladly do it. She reluctantly made the call herself, but it didn't go well. Mother-in-law got upset because we are now depriving her of seeing her grandson. My wife got emotional and ended up backtracking and said she would talk to me to see if we could work something out. After the call, she asked me if there was some way we could figure this out, and I told her we aren't changing anything again this close to our trip. She said maybe we could offer mother-in-law a lesser amount, but I reiterated that it isn't about the money, it's about mother-in-law being sneaky and trying to take advantage of us. My thing is, okay, if your parents wanted to watch, if you didn't want to pay, understandably, and your parents wanted to watch your kid for free, I get it. No problem. 100 divided by 24, your mom is asking for $4 an hour to watch your kid. Obviously, she wouldn't have asked, like you said, she doesn't have a real job, so money is tight. So she's like, hey, if I'm going to be there for 5 days, it's far away. Like, if I can get paid, that'd be nice, right? She's not doing it to be a B. Of course, she wants to hang out with her grandson, but you're just being, I wouldn't, it's a personal choice. If I didn't, I wouldn't take money from family. But if I wanted it and they had a problem with it, that's fine. Look for someone else. I don't like his attitude. I'm sorry. All right, you guys, it's time for the final story of this episode. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, leave a comment on which story you like the most. We are at my favorite part, which is the viewer submission, where you guys send me your stories and I read it to get my honest opinion and everyone's feedback as well. So let's get into it. She doesn't have a title for it, so she just writes, am I the asshole? She says, I'm a 22-year-old woman with 2 daughters, ages 4 and 2, and currently pregnant with my baby boy due in 2 months. My childhood was tough because of my mom. When I was 6, we left my home country and my biological father after my parents separated. My mom moved on with another man who isn't legally my stepdad and had 6 kids with him. From a young age, I felt like an outsider in my family because I knew my stepdad wasn't my real dad and his son was only my half-brother. Things got worse as I grew up. My mom always sided with my stepdad and left me to fend for myself. Starting at 9 years old, I was forced to take care of my siblings while my mom and stepdad went out like a carefree couple. This continued until I was 16. When I was a teenager, things became unbearable. My stepdad tried to initiate an inappropriate relationship with me when I was around 15. I turned him down and told my mom, hoping she'd protect me. Instead, he claimed he was drunk and didn't know what he was doing. My mom forgave him and brushed it off. When I exposed him again after he made another attempt, she still didn't take my side. Instead, my stepdad began punishing me, cursing at me, hitting me, spitting on me, and kicking me out of the house. He destroyed my belongings and my mom stood by silently. At 18, I finally moved out with my husband who was 28. We've built a family together and have been trying to live peacefully. However, my relationship with my mom remained strained. When I found out I was pregnant again, my husband and I kept it private. But by 5 months, my mom noticed and forced me to confirm it. Ever since, she's been awful, making fun of my body, calling me fat, saggy, and deformed, and even criticizing my daughters. A few days ago, I found out my mom was pregnant again at almost 40. My stepdad called to tell me, laughing, and I told him I didn't care. My siblings aren't happy either, especially since she's only focused on having another boy, even though it's too early to know the gender. She's been making nasty comments, claiming her baby will look better than mine because she's whiter than me. I lost my temper and yelled at her in front of my siblings. I told her she was putting her life at risk because doctors have warned her about the dangers of having more children after so many C-sections. I also pointed out how unfair it is to her kids, and there's no one to care for them if something happens to her. My stepdad doesn't take care of his kids, and her choices leave everyone else to pick up the pieces. I know I could have handled things better, but I feel so much resentment and frustration after everything she's done. Am I the asshole for yelling at her and telling her the truth about her situation? Always, I want to say thank you. I always feel some sort of heartwarmed that you guys feel comfortable enough to reach out to me, and you guys always leave sweet comments for me, and I really do appreciate it. And I'm sorry, it's clear that you've endured an incredible amount of pain, and I'm sorry that you've had to go through this. You're absolutely not the asshole for expressing your frustration. It sounds like years of neglect, abuse, and mistreatment have left you carrying an emotional burden, and the situation pushed you to a breaking point. I think your mom has constantly disregarded your well-being and forced you into responsibilities far beyond your age, and also enabled your stepdad's harmful behavior. It's no wonder, you're going to feel the way you do, especially when her choices now continue to affect you and your siblings when you're at a different point in your life and trying to continue and make a better future for yourself. I think moving forward, I personally wouldn't have a relationship with my mom and stepdad, as hard as that sounds, because she's your mom, but no mom who loves their child talks to them like that in that manner. I think if you want to have a relationship with your step siblings, you can and have that open door with them, but there's no need for your stepdad to ever be calling you, trying to engage with you, and your mom can live a good life. Sure, she's having not your half sibling, but it's not of your concern. I think if you want to continue the relationship, you should have a conversation with your mom and set clear boundaries. While you're not living in her house, it will be difficult to completely detach, but protecting your peace is essential for your own well-being and your kids. If it's financially possible, consider looking for ways to become more independent, whether it's saving up, seeking assistance, or exploring housing options. Stay strong. You've already come so far. This sucks, but I hope you have a safe delivery. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of The Gray in Between. If you have a story to share or a dilemma you'd like me to weigh in on, don't hesitate to reach out. Remember, life isn't always black and white. There's beauty in the gray. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep exploring the in-betweens.